Hello and welcome. This is from the CBN, where we bring to you weekly reports and expert analysis of the actions, policies, and economic initiatives of the Central Bank of Nigeria. I am Oluyemisi, Dada. In the light of the continued global economic recovery and improving output growth in the domestic economy, the Monetary Policy Committee of the Central Bank of Nigeria met on Monday and Tuesday to decide on policy direction for the rest of the year and make projections for the first quarter of the new year. We have details of the decisions reached at this crucial bi-monthly meeting, as well as an expert's review of the MPC meeting outcome, plus sights and sounds from the new Telegraph Award ceremony, where the CBN Governor, Mr. Godwin Emefiele, bagged Man of the Year 2021 Economic Award. Stay tuned, we'll be back shortly.
North, South, East or West, male or female, old school or millennial, rural or urban, the Naira is the same, and so is the e-Naira. The e-Naira is a legal tender issued by the Central Bank of Nigeria. So, let's embrace it. The e-Naira will foster financial inclusion, improve access to credit, facilitate cross-border remittances, and it's easier to transfer. E-Naira, same Naira, more possibilities. This message is from the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN.
Thanks for staying tuned. By a unanimous vote, the Monetary Policy Committee of the Central Bank of Nigeria decided to hold all policy parameters constant at its last meeting of the year to support the enabling environment for sustained recovery of the economy. The MPC felt that whereas tightening would further help to rein in inflation aggressively, it will also increase cost of funds and constrain output growth.
On the other hand, whereas loosening will lower policy rates, ease liquidity pressures, and stimulate additional credit creation, which will boost output growth, MPC also thinks that loosening will further widen the negative real interest rate gap and compound the price distortions in the money market, which could fuel inflationary pressures. As for whether to hold its existing stance, MPC believes that the existing monetary policy stance has supported the growth recovery and should be allowed to continue for a little longer for consolidation to achieve the MPC's mandate of price stability that is conducive to growth. Based on the foregoing, the committee decided on a whole to hold all policy parameters constant to support the enabling environment for sustained recovery of the Nigerian economy. The committee therefore decided by unanimous vote to retain the monetary policy rate at 11.5%.
During the question and answer session that usually follows the MPC meeting press briefing, some of the journalists present sought further clarifications from the CBN governor on issues such as the bank's forbearance on loans, sustenance of a current economic recovery, takeoff of the infrastructure company, among others.
Good afternoon, Mr. Governor. My name is Ndoka Chejin of the Nation newspaper. The CBN has granted forbearance to banks and their customers over time. This is about to come to an end in March 2022. Now, if the CBN decides to now do away with the forbearance, how are you so sure that this decision will not lead to an increase in non-performing loans? Thank you.
My answer would be that if you recall, from our standpoint, we granted a forbearance regime from just two areas. One primarily had to do with the fact that we said that all loans that people, companies, and businesses that are impacted adversely by COVID-19, that they should be given about 2 years. We first of all started by saying 1 year from 2020 to March 2021, and by February 2021 we extended it by 1 more year when the third strain of the virus pandemic continued. we extended by 1 more year, making it 2 years that will expire by March 2022. So 2 years moratorium was one aspect. Another aspect had to do with the fact that we said for CBN interventions that there is a need for us to reduce the interest rate from 9% to 5%. Indeed, another aspect of the intervention or forbearance is that because we knew that the adverse consequence of COVID-19 was resulting in a reduction in the revenue generating capacity of businesses and companies, we also granted the banks an opportunity to allow their customers to ask for a restructure of their facilities. Maybe if it's a 2-year facility, extend it to 4 years, a 4-year facility, extend it to 6 years, a 6-year facility, extend it to 8 years, so as to reduce the impact or the burden of the cash flow on them. In Nigeria, businesses are back, companies are back to business, revenues have improved, and if revenues have improved, then companies or businesses that took loans, if we say the loans for intervention has moved from 5 to 9, if we say that the moratorium of 2 years expires in March 2022, and of course the restructure that you have graciously benefited remains, then naturally we should expect that companies should be able to pay back their loans.
Good afternoon, Governor. My name is Issa Abdullah from Telegraph Newspapers. The economy is on recovery path. Key indices have shown GDP is rising, the inflation is trending down. How do you think this can be so that Nigerians can enjoy these improvements?
I think, again, it is important that we continue to commend both the monetary and fiscal authorities for work that has been done for us to exit recession. The basic issue is the dilemma of monetary policy. And that is why we say that, notwithstanding the peculiar situation that Nigeria finds itself, we are in a position where we are able to manage the balance. And monetary policy committee needed to be appreciated for the fact that rather than take on their own stance, which is price and monetary stability, they have said that they are going to adopt a stance of price and monetary stability that is conducive to growth. And that is why we're seeing what we're seeing indeed. And that is why Monetary Policy Committee prides itself that it has played a significant role in moderation of inflation, in the improved output growth that we're seeing, and overall improvement in recovery of the economy. And of course, all we would expect is that they have said we must continue to still pursue price stability that is conducive to growth. What does that mean? We will do everything possible to continue to support our households, everything possible to support our small and medium enterprises, so that can catalyze consumption and investment expenditure, help to improve gross domestic product. While on another hand, they have also said, the management should try and continue to use administrative measures to see what can be done to rein in inflation from that side, and at the same time, with its intervention in the other sectors, like maybe agriculture in this case, you would see that agri prices eventually, luckily we've been lucky. In fact, in 2021, we did not hear of any case of flooding at all, and that for us, I think we must be very thankful to God. As a result of that, we're expecting a very bumper harvest in all our agricultural products. And if this happens, what that will do is that it will considerably dampen inflation and prices, which will continue to help our attempt to continue to rein in inflation and moderate prices in the economy. So we will continue to do these things.
Good afternoon, MPC and Governor. I am Nancy Najib, the anchor of Morning Mansion. In the week of Mr. President's launch of the e-Naira on October 25, the e-Naira is the first African digital currency. I want to know, how is the e-Naira's performance and adoption rate among Nigerians? And finally, what are the chances of seeing the takeoff of the infrastructure company as well as the NIFC? I'd like to know where that will be located, and the reorganized Nigeria Commodity Exchange by the year. Thank you, Governor.
It's still too early for us to begin to carry out an assessment, because is just, I think this is the 4th week now. But I think it is gratifying to see that so far, I think we've seen almost about 560,000 downloads on the website, on the eNaira platform, out of which 490,000 are consumers and 83,000 are merchants. So we're optimistic that things are going. But let's not forget, like we said, the eNaira or digital currency product has extremely wide possibilities. There's so many things that can be done. But what we've done initially is to constrain it, begin the journey gradually. We are taking baby steps. So even in the midst of we taking baby steps to see how actors within that globe are behaving to ensure that we're able to control some of the risks that we see, I think that it is a good result so far. As we see the performance of players and stakeholders within that eNaira market, what we do, we open it up more and more, and we think that it is a game changer for the world and also for Nigeria. So on Infraco, let me say that basically, practically all the infrastructure that we need to put in place for the takeoff of infrastructure corporation has been achieved. And we thank the President for giving all approvals that are needed. We thank the Vice President, being the chairman of the steering committee, for also giving all the approvals that are needed for us to proceed. Transaction advisors have been appointed. Asset managers are eager, 4 of them have been appointed. The management of Infraco, with just a few number of people, we are currently concluding the appointment of the CEO of the Infrastructure Corporation, who is an expert and first-class person who understands infrastructure business globally, and the rest of them. But we even while we are waiting for the management to get on board, the shareholders are holding very aggressive meetings, and they are currently reviewing about 3 major projects which eventually will be handed over to the asset managers, and I'm sure that asset managers themselves are salivating and waiting to see those assets come onto their hands so they can begin to fund the infrastructure development of Nigeria. So we are very hopeful that is going on very well. The NIFC, Nigeria International Financial Center, we just feel that Nigeria, being the biggest economy in Africa, should be able to establish a financial center. That is also going on well. We just have about 4 weeks to the end of the year, so I'm not that optimistic that we will. Don't forget, I have said within 12 months we would. But I believe that before the middle of next year, the NIFC should actually begin operation. And we also have received several inquiries from foreign investors and actors in financial centers that are willing to come on board and work with us here. On the commodity exchange, work is also advanced. The team working on that, I think we have a couple of meetings to hold. We have to talk about how do we deal with the existing board, how do we deal with the existing management, how do we deal with several other issues and the rest of them. And as soon as we're able to deal with this, I believe we should be ready to take off. Funding should not be a problem.
Nigeria is a rich nation of green land, rich resources, countless crops and commodities sufficient to feed and provide a means of livelihood for her teeming population. Chin up, Nigeria, the giant of Africa. Exciting times are here. We can be self-reliant and grow our economy if we work together to explore our potential. It takes a whole nation. Let us get involved. Buy Nigerian to grow Nigeria.
Welcome back, and if you're just joining us, this is from the CBN. We'll bring you up to speed on the actions, policies, and economic initiatives of the Central Bank of Nigeria. Professor Ken Ife is a macroeconomic and public policy analyst, ECOWAS lead consultant on private sector development, among other roles. He shares his insights with us in this review of the November MPC meeting outcome. Professor Ken Ife, thank you very much for joining us on the program today.
Thank you for having me.
All right, now with the decisions of the MPC to retain benchmark interest rates at 11.5%, a symmetric corridor of plus 100, minus 700 basis points around the MPR, cash reserve ratio of 27.5%, and liquidity ratio as 30%. Explain to us how this will affect the financial sector, what it means for them, the business community, and the economy in general.
I think there are two things we learn from these decisions. First of all is there's a backdrop of gradual improvement on inflation figure dropping to 15.99, but still far away from the target of 69%. And then also the third quarter GDP figures that came out posting 4.03 growth, slightly lower than the previous quarter of 5.01%. But when you also look at the sectors that provided that growth, there are some good reasons to be more hopeful. For example, massive growth on manufacturing and construction, pointing to more employment. You have trade jumping back again to 14.8% growth, which tells you why we are having so much problem of forex on the composition, the contribution to GDP to 12.5%. ICT is still keeping up at 11.17%, still accounting for about 9.2% of the. But things are normalizing now. Now, the second thing is there are better health indicators and the risk management systems, bank supervision. They're giving us better results. We've seen the liquidity ratios well above the benchmark that you've seen there is much higher than the 30%. You've seen the performing loan, non-performing loans coming very close now to 5%, which is the prudential guideline. You've also seen the capital adequacy ratio just over 15%, which is again the prudential guide. So there are convergence of healthy statistics around the performance of the financial sector. So now, but there's another thing. The third dimension is the major economies led by America are beginning to normalize their monetary policy, which means they are going to taper the bond buying programs and all of that. So that means that we need to be a bit more cautious. Too many balls in the air wouldn't help us. So we have to watch both our inflation and our growth statistics and watch them and watch what is going to happen on the global front, because they do affect our FDIs, they affect our international transfers, not transfers, the portfolio investments. So we have to watch them very carefully to see whether this quantitative easing that they are reversing is going to have any impact. So that's the reason why I'm heavily in support of this.
The committee advised both the fiscal and the monetary authorities to look beyond the current economic situation and plan towards attracting sustainable investment flows to Nigeria. How can sustainable investment flows be attracted into the country?
Well, one of the things is really to put a rein on the insecurity, because insecurity is a major threat to foreign investors. It dampens their confidence. People don't feel safe. How can you put your money where you don't feel safe? And then you see there's a better performance from the stock market. The capital market is doing well. In both measures, they are doing well. They're performing above our expectation. So that means that investor confidence is also coming back. The announcements made by all the investors in different states also is showing quantum rise. So in terms of investor confidence, they are gradually coming back. But what you need to do is to work on it. We work on it by improving security, by adopting more fiscal responsive measures that attract them. And we've been doing that because every finance act in 2019, 2020 is adding incremental impact on foreign investment. And then you've seen the domestic economy, and then you've seen support more of the SEZ zones and all that. So there is a lot that is going on. And actually, one other thing that happened during where both fiscal and monetary policies worked together very well was that whilst the CBN was investing on output, increasing output, it was necessary to increase consumption because 80% of the consumption is actually household consumption. So what CBN did was to bring that 50 billion, which was shared, which was given into household and all of that, but it's not grant to its loan, no, they have to pay back. Then it's increased to 150 billion. Now it's over 363 billion. And look at the number of households that have accessed it, over 700,000 people. So that is tremendous for you to give people the ability to buy the goods that you are encouraging them to produce. So this made, and then also on the fiscal side, they were dropping a lot of resources to through social intervention fund of 500 billion every year. They were conditional cash transfer. There were various schemes that are, so all of them were putting money into the hands of people who had lost their jobs, into the small MSMEs, so they got back. So demand in the economy increased, and that was why we jumped out in one quarter out of recession. And now, so what we are now doing is that we'll continue to support those areas that are increasing growth, because the reason why the CBN would not be keen to raise the MPR rates is because it could hurt growth. And at the same time, if they lowered it, it would increase consumption, it will increase more lending to the private sector.
Inflation.
They are not sure whether that lending will go into increasing productivity. You're not sure. That lending could go into buying more things and then importing more goods, because there's a lot of imports going on right now. And unfortunately, they are getting their money from the black market. That's why we are having so much pressure on our foreign exchange. Look at the figures. It is trade that is causing a lot of the pressure on the foreign exchange, probably because that's the way they earn more interest than what is currently available. But you've got to see that. So there's a lot that is going on in the way the the central bank and Ministry of Finance are working. Both fiscal and monetary authorities are working well, and they worked well last year, hand in glove. Don't listen to what other people say. These two authorities are working for the good of this country, and they are making a change. And they're going to continue to support the economy and bring more investors in from the fact that they are working together.
All right, Professor Ken Ife, we will leave it there for now. Many thanks for your time and your insights.
Thank you.
Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Mr. Godwin Emefiele, was among notable Nigerians honored by the New Telegraph newspapers at its awards ceremonies last Friday. Mr. Emefiele was represented by CBN Deputy Governor Economic Policy, Dr. Kingsley Obiora, received the award of the Man of the Year 2021 Economic. Enjoy the sights and sounds from the event.
On behalf of the New Telegraph, it's my honor that I present to you the number one banker in the country, the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Mr. Godwin Emefiele, as the Man of the Year 2021. Mr. Emefiele is indeed the governor with a full balance sheet, the only governor that has not need an election to so address, and it's an honor that the award is being passed on to him, and to receive the award on his behalf is the Deputy Governor, also of the Central Bank of Nigeria. His Excellency the Governor of Lagos Senate President, distinguished governors, I would like to, on behalf of my boss, the Governor of the Central Bank, express our deepest gratitude to the New Telegraph, the management, ownership, the editors, and all those who found my boss worthy of this award. I think it will be an impetus for him and the team around him to continue to do the work for the betterment of the bank, the country, and all Nigerians. I thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
And with that, it's a wrap on this week's From the CBN. You can report unresolved banking issues to the CBN Consumer Protection Department through the email address cpd@cbn.gov.ng with relevant documents. You can also call the CBN Contact Center using the phone line +234 700 2255 226. Local call rates may apply. Send your comments and contributions to the email address from the cbn@gmail.com. Find and follow us on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram for updates and uploaded episodes of the program. We invite you to join us again next time. I am Oluyemisi Dada. Stay safe and bye for now.